The Florida Gators have successfully finished the flip. Onis Konanbanny, you are a Florida Gator.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. Hell, it might even be your second listen of the day because this is our second show of the day. Onis Konanbanny's a Florida Gator. We're going to be excited about it. And you got to take a kid from the Tennessee Volunteers. Is that ever a bad thing? The answer is no. The answer is no, it's not. I see you in the chat. We'll get to you. What's up? We got Zach Fink, Gorilla Toast, Ryan Tooper, and B. Just B. Just B. But Onis Konanbanny's a Florida Gator. I'm excited for it. Listed as 6'1.5". But again, this is one of those instances where kind of two things. One, again, we talked about that's on the shorter side of corners that Florida has recruited, outside corners that Florida's recruited under Billy Napier. But two, his arms are freaking long. Okay, like this dude, if you didn't watch his flip and his signing, then you wouldn't know. But first off, seems like a great kid. Like seems like a great kid to just be out there. Looked like he kind of started tearing up when he was talking about his mom and how, if you don't know the story of Onis Konanbanny, he is from France, born in France, moved to England, and then moved to South Carolina to play football and come to America, and has now committed to the Florida Gators. And I see Zach Fink said, do we jump Tennessee in the rankings now? I think Florida was already slightly ahead of Tennessee. Florida was number 8 going into this. And according to 24/7, I don't know if they've updated it yet or not, but they're still 8th. But Tennessee's 11th. And recruiting re-rankings are still going nuts. So it doesn't even matter because it's going to move a million times. But I love the addition of Onis Konanbanny. Okay. Onis is a player that we talked about a little bit on this morning's episode of Locked On Gators. That was the third segment to talk about him. We talked about Onis a bit last week. He is, again, listed as 6'1.5", but like his arms, I would be shocked if he didn't come in with a 6. I'm gonna say 6'6" wingspan. Whenever he gets to, if he gets to the NFL draft, combine, Senior Bowl, whatever it may be, where they actually give your legitimate measurements, would not shock me at all if he came in with a 6'6" wingspan. Broad shoulder, broad chest, long arms. He's like the physical traits are there, right? Not something that you're going to be super concerned about with him on the outside there. I think that he is someone that Florida is going to look at and say, all right, we've got a bit of a dude here. Multi-sport athlete, again, how Florida always goes about things. Is he a safety, corner, or star? To my knowledge, they've been recruiting him to play cornerback. Wouldn't shock me if he was someone that they move around. But, yeah, that would be my expectation. He's, I think, a pretty physical football player. Willing tackler, like he has the skill set to genuinely. We'll compare him to who was it 2 cycles ago? We'll compare him to Dijon Johnson, where people talk about him and they go, oh, he could play this position, he could play this position, he could play this position. You'll just figure out where he's going to go. I do know that there's people that think he might be better as a safety long term. I know there's people that think he'll be better as an outside corner. I haven't really spoken to people that think he'll be better as a star. But again, this is a kid that's also pretty raw, right? Like it's not like he's been playing football forever. It's not like he's been doing any of that for years and years and years. But he is someone that has now been given American football coaching. And he's someone that is going to be a little bit of a project. Not a knock on him at all. It's something where, even if you play in England, it's different there, right? So I look at Onis Konanbanny as someone that shouldn't have pressure to play early on, but I think that benefits someone like Onis. I think Onis is someone that has the physical traits and also some of the mental traits that you can't really teach, Like you can't teach length. You can't just like stretch someone's arms out. Be like, okay, like now you got a better wingspan. You can't do that. Onis has insane length. That's the thing that this coaching staff has always looked at, which is why I'll say, even though he's somewhat slightly short, and by slightly, I mean minusculely slightly shorter than most of the outside corners that Florida takes, he's still someone that has the length that kind of offsets that. It's like, oh yeah, like you're not 6'1", 6'2", but your wingspan is significantly larger than that, so you can play at that size. And that's the thing that we've talked about before with a couple guys, and Onis is someone that I do think can move all around the secondary, and it's going to be about finding whichever spot is best for him. Personally, I think corner might be the best spot for him. I know that, again, like we talked about in the chat and like we talked about on the show already, there's people that talk about him playing safety. But for me, honestly, I look at the way that he kind of plays press coverage and the way he can play man coverage. And I just look at that and I say, if you're not going to play that at corner, I don't like it. That's my thing. It's like, I feel like there's a lot of guys you could teach to play zone better and you can teach their instincts and all that stuff, or develop their instincts. But there's some guys where when you can just line up and play press man coverage and you can just say, hey, we're going to be physical as hell at the line of scrimmage, and I'm going to be able to run with you. I do feel like that's a really impressive thing that you can not really teach. That was one of the things that I liked about Jakeem Jackson at Florida and prior to, where he was really raw, but he had like the physical makeup and the mental makeup to go, yeah, I got beat on the outside, but I'm going to come right back at you and I'm going to make a play next time. And that's why I've always said, that Vanderbilt game and Jakeem Jackson's freshman year for me was really a big selling point for him, because I feel like he kind of made that adjustment immediately. And that's an impressive thing that you can do as a young defensive back. And so Onis, does he have hops? Yeah. He's an athlete. I'll say he's an athlete. I do think that, again, he's better on the outside, but he's got so much room for development that I do think that people will go, okay, well, we'll figure it out. And he's that kind of DB I think you can take and just figure it out. He was soccer player in the UK, track and field in the UK. I believe he continued track and field over. So he's someone that just, great athlete. It's just about piecing everything together and actually developing his technique. But I like the addition of Onis Konanbanny to basically, what's up, Harrison? To basically wrap up your 2025 recruiting class if you're the Florida Gators. We'll talk about the rest of the class and we'll get to the chat with whatever questions you may have when we get back with Locked On Gators. If you're looking for tickets for your next big event, whether it's a concert, like I told you on this morning's episode, I was like, hey, Kendrick and SZA, MetLife Stadium in June, I might have to hit it. A comedy show, sports game, finding the right tickets at the right price can be an absolute headache, but with Game Time Picks, it's never been easier. With Game Time Picks, the app does all the hard work for you. It curates the best deals, so you don't have to waste time searching through endless ticket listings, which can, my God, get annoying. It can be pretty annoying there. The best part, you're covered with Game Time's lowest price guarantee. If you find a better deal somewhere else for the same section and row, they'll refund 110% of the difference. Plus, your tickets are guaranteed to be delivered on time with easy cancellation options if something comes up. I almost missed Florida or Utah at Florida because of a different ticket marketplace, I'll call them. ready to make your next event even better. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, it's code Locked On College for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. We are available daily and free reviews in the podcast and on YouTube. And thank you again for making Locked On Gators your first listen. If you're here and you are a basketball fan, hopefully you're not a Dallas Mavericks fan, but if you are a Florida Gators basketball fan, we will be going live tonight after the game. So we'll be going live then once the buzzer hits 0. We'll be going live to talk about our Gators basketball team. I missed not being able to really go live while I was in Mobile, Alabama. But it was a blast. Harrison Sanchez, no. I'm going to say Flowers is not coming. I think he's Miami bound. That's why I haven't fed much attention into it. Even the other day, I was like, hey, like Florida is going to add 1, maybe 2 corners to their class in 2025, but I really think it's 1, and it was Onis. And I said that. That's why we talked about Onis on the show. Didn't talk about Flowers. From what I've been told, that's Miami is basically locked in on that one. So yeah, from what I've been told, that's basically a Miami lock. I'm not broken up about it at all. I think that Florida, you're already in a spot where you're like, oh, well, we can't really take many guys, right? Like we're really backing up against the roster limit. And if that truly matters, like we've been told it matters, yeah, I'm cool waiting for a little bit, especially when I do expect Florida to add at least 1 guy in the portal, in the second portal window. I do think that you're waiting for 1 more of those. Or at least 1 more of those. So I'm not going to say that I think they go any more high school kids. I do believe that their high school recruiting class is wrapped up completely, which we will refresh this page. And it's so 24/7 says that it's done. Florida is 8th in the recruiting rankings. High school kids only. They're it's annoying. 0.03 points behind Michigan. That's it. I will also note that Florida is the only school in the top 10 with 10 3-stars, which, I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying that I realize now I'm looking at it, they're the only school in the top 10 with 10 3-stars. Next highest ranked school with 10 players is 10 3-stars is Notre Dame. And they're at 12th. But Florida is at 8th. Tennessee is at 11th. And Florida is now the 5th school in the SEC behind Texas at 1, Georgia at 2, Alabama at 3, Auburn at 6, and then Florida at 8. The only other non-SEC schools ahead of them are Ohio State, Oregon, and Michigan. So it's recruiting right now is, hey, you're in the SEC, you're in the Big Ten, or you're in the dumpster. That's kind of how it goes. Miami's the highest ACC school at 13. Notre Dame's at 12, but they're independent. Yeah, a lot of this is, hey, you're in the SEC, you're in the Big Ten, or you're in the dumpster. But Florida's 2025 recruiting class, I mean, look, I think it's a good class. I know that there's people that are going to say, hey, there's too many 3-stars. And I understand that. But again, I go back to the way that I look at things, which is going to be different than the way that other people look at things, and that's fine. But I'm going to look at a guy like Stephon Shivers and say, okay, he's the defensive lineman from Tennessee. I'm going to look at him and say, well, I don't think a nose tackle, unless they're the elite of the elite, I don't think a nose tackle is going to be rated highly because they don't rush the passer. They're just big and space eaters. And I think that their recruiting sites do a poor job of evaluating that value. I also think that NFL draft analysts do a poor job of evaluating that value. So Stephon Shivers was never going to be a highly ranked recruit, so he's a 3-star. Micah Jones, inline blocking tight end, gonna be a 3-star. Those guys are very rarely the higher ranked guys because they're not super athletic. And so if you're not super athletic, then these recruiting sites are going to go, okay, then you're not valuable. And so those inline blocking tight ends aren't usually very highly ranked there. So those are 2 guys of that 10. Looking at Chad Gasper, dealt with injuries. I'm not saying he should have been a 4-star or anything like that. I like this film, but dealt with injuries, so it's hard to rank him properly at all. Then you also have, a punter in there in Hayden Craig. You have a kicker in there in Evan Noel. You've got a tight end that was unranked when you got him, but Cameron Kosman is now a 3-star tight end there. Jari Medlock. Like, you look at the 3 stars and you go, okay, it's the project players. And that's truly what they are and what they should be. So, yeah, you can argue that they took too many project players. But they're taking guys that they think they can develop. And I've said before, like, I won't dunk on someone for going, hey, we think we can develop this kid. So I won't dunk on him there. Brad Dugan said, any chance with Javari Flowers? I don't think so. Like I know you must not have been here for it about 5-10 minutes ago, whenever it was. But I don't think that Florida is really in that one. I think that from what I've been told, that's Miami. That's it. That's what I've been told from Javari Flowers. It's Miami. And that's it. So I think he's going to go to Miami. I'm not getting my hopes up for that one. Ryan Tooper, any word on Mike P? I know in your morning episode you said Rob Sale's back, but without the co-OC tag since Callaway is being promoted to full OC. Yeah, that is according to On Three's report about Rob Sale. That's what it's going to be. No word on Mike P officially yet. The last thing that was interesting, about 2 weeks ago, we had a report from, I think it was On Three, might have been 24/7. That said that Rob Sale and Mike Peterson are working on contract extensions and that they'll try to get the details to us there. And if they have details for us, then they'll let us know. But then no details ever came out. No confirmation of an extension ever came out. If I'm not mistaken, last year it was about, I think last year was February 7th. We got word that Rob Sale had been given a 1-year contract extension. And so I would say to wait until then. And if we don't get an answer then we could start asking questions. But until then, it's just a waiting game with some of this stuff. That's all it is, really. And as annoying as it may be, it is what it is, right? But Florida Gators landed Onis Konanbanny. Pretty much wrapped up their 2025 high school recruiting class. And I think it's a pretty good class. Could it be better? Yeah, of course, right? Every class could be better. But is it a bad class? I don't think so. Is it too many 3 stars? I don't get too hung up on that kind of stuff. I look at them as, hey, they're developmental pieces. And I will say this as well. I've been saying I think that the Florida Gators have a college football playoff caliber roster, right? And so I think by saying that, it's like, oh, you got a lot of guys that are ready to play right now. It's okay to take people that are going to take a little while to develop. And especially when you consider, hey, well, you can get these 5 stars and 4 stars in abundance and then, cream the crop, rise to the top. And the guys that are supposed to develop never develop because they hit the portal. 3 stars are less likely to leave the portal for that, which you could say is Cope. That's fine. I'm not going to argue with you if you do say that. But I'm not going to get hung up on the 10 3 stars right now. I just don't see the value in doing that right now. And so that's what I'm going to say there. I'm all about the value. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. A reminder, we'll be going live tonight after the Florida Gators basketball game. Hopefully a win. We'll be back tomorrow. Talk more Florida Gators football. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI. And as always, I will see you all next time.